I don't know. Walter's just like he was a born teacher. Everybody gravitated toward him. He had the answers for everybody but himself. He was willing to be emotionally available. He was an alcoholic. He was creative and talented, and I mean, he got Jane Jenkins her first job. Jane Jenkins and Janet Hershenson have the casting company, which has cast every, you know, all those major films, and Mitch Ryan and Ralph Waite and Susan, not Susan Sarandon, but Susan Onspog. Did you ever see a movie with Jack Nicholson called Pieces, something Pieces?
5 Easy Pieces.
5 Little Pieces?
5 Easy Pieces.
5 Easy Pieces?
Yeah.
Well, Walter was very, very instrumental in that being, you know, happening. And Susan Onspog, it was the role, she played the, was it the sister or the wife of, it was Karen Black, Susan Onspog, Ralph Waite played the brother, Jack Nicholson, but Walter got, he, you know, basically did a lot of casting on it and was involved in a lot of aspects of the film. I think everybody, Mike Nichols and he were very close. Walter started out. He was one of the original of, which was, went from Saturday Night Live back to all that comedy stuff to Mike Nichols and Elaine May, and they were the original group of The Compass. Which was the, you know, and Walter was one of the founding members with Mike Nichols, Elaine May, WalterBeakel, Ted Flicker, who was one of the creators of Barney Miller. And I think, anyway, he was, and there's a book in my bookcase called The Compass, and it's all about them and what they did. So Walter started from that, and he was a child prodigy. He was an artist. And he would tell me how, because his mother had, I think, cerebral palsy, and he said that he would get up every morning as a kid. He lived in Paynesville, Ohio. How could I forget Paynesville? And he said he would get up every morning and help his mother do whatever she, you know, had to take care of for the day, have his breakfast or whatever, and on his way to school he'd always throw up. And then he'd go on to school and do his day. And I mean, it was just those, he would share those things with a friend. And I was like, oh God, you know. He was a bad boy. He was so funny. Oh my God, and he not only started so many careers, but he revamped and helped. I mean, Dean Stockwell, I don't have to even tell about Dean. Dean knows. I used to call Dean in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and his wife Joy, and give him interviews, like, he went on interviews so he could get his unemployment. I mean, that was part of my job at Beakel Jennings. And then Walter, he literally got that career back where where he has done very, very well. And I remember we went to the opening. I was Russ's date because Bonnie had something to do, and we went to, it was the opening party of Twin Peaks, of which I had Russ and Jack Nance on. And Dean and Joy came, and we were all, partying and everything, and I said to Dean, long way from Santa Fe, ain't it? And they had a sense of humor. They cracked up, But I think, and I know Dean at one point decided that he was going to leave Walter, that he was at that place now in his career that he had to go to the big guys. And I got to say, in respect to him, is he came in the office to have the meeting, and he and Walter had the meeting in my office, and I sat and watched them, and he fucking couldn't do it. And Walter didn't try to get him to stay, but Dean had, I mean, it's like he realized what this man had done for him, and he said, I can't, I have to stay with you, you know. And of course Walter got, I mean, Harrison Ford acknowledges Walter and Fred Roos anytime he wins an award. I mean, and I studied acting with Walter at Columbia Studios. He was the Columbia Studios acting teacher. So of course, because we were good friends and everything, I was on General Hospital, but he let me, you know, I belonged to that. They were the contract players, and I wasn't, but a few of us got to come to class. It was 5 days a week on one of the sets that they had given us. I mean, and Johnny Strasberg would come one day and teach, Severn Darden the next day. Jerry Lewis would come and give a talk to us, or famous people about their, you know, I mean, it was like, what a great deal it was. It was just fantastic. And there were some interesting people. You know, some of my, I think Mark Spitz, weird offbeat, pretty girls. The girls who were under contract, Walter would say, now, Alexandra knows exactly what she's doing. She's already been downstairs and fucked Jerry, whatever his name was, who was the director of all films or something, you know, done her job, gave her blowjob, came up and out, and she's got her scene down. That's what you have to do to be an actor.
That's great.
I'm working with him at the agency. Holy shit, I used to have to say, because his deal was he'd be in the office way before any of us, and he came from way out there in the, I don't know, boonies, near Valencia, wherever past, and have his breakdowns done and everything, and then, you know, make a few calls and have his little bow tie and all that shit. And come noon time, or 1 o'clock, he had to get back early because he had to get David from school, which meant, you know, I'd watch him march out of the office in his little bow tie, and I could just see him now. He's like a Charlie Chaplin kind of guy. And straight for Tony Roma's, one martini straight up with a twist, and maybe another one, and then head for home. And then in the afternoon, I'd say, Walter, you aren't allowed to call a client. Do not speak to the clients. And of course, Tom was, I mean, it was like Tom was writing a book about the two of them, WalterBeakel and Tom Jennings, and he said his opening line was, we should have opened a bar. But they had some great talent, man. Yeah, John Ireland, and who is the guy that the bad, the ugly, not Clint Eastwood, and not oh God, you know, the cowboy. Who is it? The bad and the ugly, huh?
Lee Marvin?
No, older, but you're along the lines.
Oh, John Lee Van Cleave.
Lee Van Cleave, yeah, and he was with us. And he used to call me, and because he was getting old, he wanted to talk about, you know, when he was a vacuum cleaner salesman, door to door. It's like, and I could tell they were all run by their wives, Pearl lives. You know, his wife. You know, they just did what their wives told them. A good, fascinating group of people. Yeah. And Cesar Romero. What a wonderful gentleman. I think he lived with his mother or his sister and took care of that person. Right. I think it was his mother. Lee Van Cleef, I remember he got the agency did it 1 year. They did probably about they got like 4 series or 5, which is you know a boutique agency is going to do okay when you got that kind of money rolling in. You know, you worked with
Yeah.
you know. So Lee Van Cleef had a series at 20th. I don't remember what it was, and I think it only lasted a season. So, but he went to the publicity parties and all of that stuff and everything, and you know, it's an old Hollywood story. A million people have told this, but anyway, so the story was this: Lee Van Cleef went in, and all the people and the interviewers are saying, "Mr. Van Cleef, where have you been for so long?" And he said, "I'm with Beakel Jennings." In other words, if you're with Beakel Jennings, you don't work.
Yeah. That legacy lived on.
Who are the old jokers? If you're with William Morrison, you're out of work. That means you're out of work in Paris, you're out of work in New York, you're out of work in Hollywood, you're out of work everywhere.
Yeah.